Hello, Make That Paper listeners. Thanks for joining us.
Before we start the episode, we wanted to let you know about our brand new true crime podcast, The Girl with the Same Name, The Cold Case of Jaime Stickle, hosted by me, Jaime Stickle.
In 2002, a young woman in Pittsburgh by the name of Jaime Stickle was violently killed, and though the circumstances seemed to suggest she was murdered, the cause of her death was never officially determined, and her case was never solved.
For years, I have been confronted with the death of this woman I never knew, on job interviews, at business meetings, on dates. People would look me up on the internet and then ask me what I knew about the apparent murder of this person who shares my name. And I had no answers. So now we are going to try to find some.
Investigations have already begun. The first episodes will launch in late fall 2023, but we need your help.
Please support this investigative podcast by going to Kickstarter.com and search for The Girl with the Same Name. Your contribution will help us travel to Pittsburgh to investigate this story more deeply and to produce the highest quality podcast.
You can also get exclusive merchandise and content by backing this project.
So please visit Kickstarter today and help us seek justice for Jaime.
Thanks, everyone. Now let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Make That Paper, the show where we talk about all the crazy jobs we do to make the cash we need to pursue our artistic dreams.
And to fight the forces of bigotry, hatred, and evil when they come to our door.
Today, we're going to visit the rental house of horrors, get locked up in the Projectionist Prison, and ride shotgun with the auto trader hater. We are your hosts, Jamie Parker Stickle
And Jason Bieber.
And on today's episode, we have a very special guest, an incredible talent, and our very first director of photography on the show.
Yeah, he's shot over 40 projects, including film, television, and award-winning shorts and music videos.
Yeah, and while we wish the folks over at the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers would cut a fair deal with the writers and the strike could end, the silver lining is that a guy who would otherwise be super busy is available to talk to us today.
So please help us welcome to this very special episode of Make That Paper, Summer of Strike, the exceptional Mike Moghaddam.
Hi, Mike. It's so nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Nice to meet you too. Uh-oh.
There she is. Hey, Morgan.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Morgan, Mike, Morgan.
Nice
Hi.
to meet
We literally just met. Mike, Jason, Mike.
Morgan's our super talented intern. She is a rising senior at Montclair State University in New Jersey. She is a director, a horror writer, and an editor.
And she is the latest and newest and editor of the Make That Paper podcast.
I'm super psyched. We're going to jump into the middle here for a minute, Mike, because I'm
Sure.
obsessed. I'm obsessed with the fact that you are a photographer for Auto Trader. And we have that huge true crime Netflix series, Making a Murderer, with Stephen Avery, who hired an Auto Trader photographer to come take a picture of a truck and then burned her alive in a fire pit.
Allegedly.
So allegedly, and went to jail
Allegedly.
for it, and then was released from jail. Let me talk about this for a second. This was in Atlanta, though, not Milwaukee. Not okay.
Yeah, in Georgia, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel at any point in time that you could be the subject of a Netflix making of a murderer story when you were doing this job?
It was before Netflix, so definitely not.
Mhm.
It was a long time ago. It was almost 20 years ago. So
But you took Amanda went there to find you on this job once, or she was doing this job, your wife,
yeah,
and I was like,
and it was before we got married. Yeah, so and this is a while ago. So we used to take them with Polaroids, and I'd have to
That's
print out the directions off of MapQuest and drive around, and it was pretty boring, stuck in the car. So she came with me, and yeah, we still talk about it. The first place we stopped at, this old guy, was older than dirt, was trying to sell his car, and he had his little dog, and he said, "Okay, Pickles, you stay there." And the dog looked like he was older than him, and it was barely moving. It's like, that dog's not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
anyways, that was our day we spent together, auto tradering it up.
What a
amazing.
date.
Yeah,
did-
exactly.
Did you have to bring your own camera?
No, they gave me a Polaroid.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But did they know, were you like, when you applied for that job, were you like, well, I'm a DP, I'm a director of photography, so this is like a no-brainer?
Not really. Yeah, exactly. What's your resume? It was pretty much like, do you have a driver's license? You're hired. So
Okay.
it was,
That's
you
amazing.
know, talking about crummy
Amazing.
jobs, but anyways, it was
All your
fun.
other skills were just bonus.
There you go. I could drive, so
Mhm.
anything on top of that was a bonus.
Yeah.
I'm a little obsessed with this though. Can we break this down for a second? Because like
Sure.
I'm curious. Did they pay you gas and mileage?
No.
No. Okay.
That's why I didn't do it for very long either. So you got paid with how many people you went out to go take pictures of. Um, so you would try to fit as many as you could, and you would try to arrange it in a way that like would limit, gas. You wouldn't want to backtrack.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
so
This is interesting. And were you working as a DP at the time, or was this prior to you
I mean,
knowing?
no, I knew. I mean, trying to. It's
Yeah.
you know, like to be a DP. I mean, it takes a lot of time and experience to build up
Yeah.
network and stuff. So
Totally.
pretty much when I was in high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do,
Really?
and then work towards it. Yeah,
Can we rewind then? Can we go to high school for a second? And I like,
sure.
I mean, I'm remembering my high school, and I guess I kind of knew I wanted to be an actor. Kind of.
Yeah, of course you
I
did.
was pursuing it,
Yeah.
but like, did you like how much did you know about filmmaking in high school, and that you knew like this is not? I don't just want to make movies. I want to do this part of it.
Right.
Uh, sure. Well, I could tell you my whole origin story. So
Ooh,
I
okay.
didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a skateboarder and skipped a lot of class skateboarding and just hung out with the the all the other skaters. And anyways, I got a video camera and started making skate videos with my friends. And
Okay.
I always liked photography and movies and TV and art, and that's really the only classes I propelled at in any school was art. And I had a teacher that really took me under his wings and like pretty much said he'd give me an A if I like came up with my own course. And so I learned the technical stuff for video and you know at first I thought I wanted to do news, but then I learned what a cinematographer was, and I kind of fell in love with that. And this is all in high school, just like trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life because I knew pretty sure I wasn't going to be a doctor, lawyer, and engineer. So yeah, so that's where it started. And then the more I learned about cinematography, the more I knew that was like my calling. I went to college, but then I also got a job at a rental house. So
Right.
they're rental houses, right? Not sure how familiar everybody is, but movie equipment's really expensive. So
Yeah.
most of it people don't own, and there are companies that rent it, right?
Right.
And back then in Georgia, there wasn't a whole lot of work, so there was two rental houses that I pestered, and I finally got a job at one of them, and realized pretty quick that that was the way to do what I wanted to do. So I dropped out of college and just started doing that full time.
Oh wow.
So when you're there, I mean, is that like I've known people who, in fact, we interviewed Dave Rosowski worked at a rental house, and common theme amongst people who worked at those places is like using the equipment. Is that?
Oh
Is
yeah.
that yeah, you were like practicing, learning, maybe going out and shooting some things.
Yeah, so that was definitely part of it too. Is so my job was to clean the sound stages. So it was a pretty like all-encompassing rental house. They didn't just have cameras; they had lights, cameras, sound stages. So my entry level position was to clean the toilets and clean the sound stages. And on my lunch breaks, I would go in and do the busy work for the camera department, like cleaning cases, the
Uh-huh.
stuff they didn't want to do. So then they would start teaching me, oh, this is how you load a film magazine. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And then, I started shooting little things. Yeah, I would get a discount. The first real thing that I shot, I made a friend in college that wanted to be a writer, a screenwriter, and he had an uncle or somebody passed away and left him a little bit of money. So we decided to shoot a trailer for his script. So that was like my first thing that I shot. So I got to borrow, well, not borrow, I mean, still had to pay for it, but it was really cheap little grip truck, film camera, and we shot it over a weekend. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Where
And then
was
it started
this?
that this
Was
is in
this
Georgia.
in Georgia? Okay, but
Yeah,
this was
this is in
before
Georgia.
like this is before Walking Dead and
Oh
so
yeah,
many
yeah. So
shows
this was
just blew.
1998.
Okay, so that's before Georgia
I'm
blew
dating
up. But
myself a little bit.
that's okay. I still find that to be very young.
You're super youthful and
Speaking for
vibrant.
myself. But this was a time before actors started living bi-coastally between LA and Atlanta. This is a time when
Yeah.
before Atlanta had all the big studios and people were leaving like the flock of seagulls into Georgia. So that's amazing.
So and that was part of the issue with getting started is there just wasn't that much work. And even the rental house I worked at, I won't name the company, but they were always almost going out of business. Like it was that slow in Georgia.
Wow.
So
Do you know, is that rental house still in business?
they are, yes.
Okay.
Oh, and now they're like bazillionaires.
Oh yeah, now they're super busy. So, but it
Yeah.
used to be, I mean, back then, like I remember there would be like one independent movie would shoot a year. Like, I mean, it was nearly impossible to get on stuff. It was mainly commercials and music videos.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my start, like shooting was music videos. So when I worked at the rental house, that's the other thing too, is you meet people
Yeah.
and then you offer your services for free. Hey, I'll come schlep stuff for you. And I started working as a second AC, as a loader, and also as a grip.
Second assistant camera for those who
Second assistant camera, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
and
that's
a loader
okay.
back in the film days, you know, there was somebody that loaded and unloaded the film. And then
it was a big job. That was a big job.
Yeah, it was. The funny thing, that's the entry level position, but you're the one that's handling the film. That's what was fun about camera department, especially being a second assistant camera person. You know, you just had to anticipate, act like a ninja, trying to like be all stealth. And but then I was also a grip too. I had a really good friend who was a grip, so I got onto stuff, and that taught me a lot about lighting and grip, and you know, just pretty much I said yes to everything. I was a PA while I worked at the rental house, and then also, you know, just actively trying to shoot, build the reel, you know, build experience. That was something I had a mentor who was an established cinematographer, and you know, helped me out. And you know, he just said that it's like if you want to be a DP, shoot. You know, if you whatever you want to do, you got to pursue it, and that really stuck with me. And so yeah, so the time that I worked at the rental house, I worked on as many things as I could, and got as many favors as I could to shoot as much stuff. And that first thing, that trailer, was a reel for me. So that started, you know, I had actually something shot on 35 millimeter, something that looked halfway decent, you know, and because that was before digital. So, you know, like it was a lot harder. I remember I was so poor, and this was even before DVDs. I made VHS copies of my reel. And I remember it like I maxed out my bank account to make like, I don't know, 50 nice copies. Like, you know, it was just this one trailer too, just to give out to people. But yeah, I mean, you know, you guys are in the film industry, you know, it's more of a trade, right? It's a craft. Like going to school can only do so much. It's really, you just have to get out there and do it and learn from others. And, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. So, but yeah, so that's
why do they say that? Who skins cats, and why do they skin them more than one way?
I agree. Like what?
I need to look it up. Like that's disgusting. And I know people say it all the time. And
also, are stones in such short supply that we actually have to kill two birds with one of them?
I don't know.
That's true too.
But I will say I in college did do you know, film, TV, radio, all of that. And I hated DPing. I hated being on the crew. I just suffered directing and telling people what to do, but I much preferred producing and writing and directing actors. So it's interesting because I really detested the crew. Like, I did
That's
not
funny.
want to load it. I was so sick of carrying beta cams around. Yeah, kids, beta cams are like 50-pound cameras that we would have to check
Yeah.
out. And that's what we carried around campus and shot with. And
Yeah.
it sucked, man.
Yeah.
It sucked. It
That's
so
the portable equipment.
that was the
Yeah.
portable equipment. And my back hurt all the time. And setting it up took an hour. And I just wanted to get to the shooting part. So it's so interesting to me when we have people on the show who that's the part they love. Like they love
I
the
mean,
DPing.
That's the opposite. Like, I've directed a couple of things. I don't care for it. I've had a lot of people that I, know and trust. Like, why don't you direct? It's like, I don't want to direct. I like being a cinematographer. I like,
Yeah.
I like collaborating with others. I like the visuals. I'm not a big fan of working directly with actors. And I also like just being
None
done.
taken.
And,
None taken.
I like being done and going home. Like if
Yeah.
I direct, I have to see it from the beginning all the way to the end.
Yeah.
If I'm the cinematographer, I get to see a lot more things, work on a lot more variety stuff. So yeah, but different things for different people. I'm a very visual person, obviously. Visual arts, like I still photography and drawing and painting I've done my whole life. So it's just like a natural transition.
Yeah.
To that. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Also, a really bad movie can still look beautiful.
Yeah.
that is true. I try to keep that in mind personally. It's the cinematography is it's kind of the cherry on top. Like if you don't have a good story and good actors, but anyways.
So when you look at a project, then when a project comes to you, do you read the script? Do you care? Is it important to you, the quality? Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't just matter what your part of it is. You are as interested in the holistic outcome as every other person who's looking at this thing.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously it changed over time. Like when I was first starting out, I didn't have any, shoot everything. Only thing I didn't shoot was porn, but, but yeah, definitely I'm a lot more picky. Right. Hey, if it was about money, I'm sure all of us would be doing much easier things that we could make a lot more money,
100%.
So,
I had some students.
Hence your podcast to keep making money, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I had students ask me about porn and I was like, listen, you can make a lot of money really fast, but just, prepare yourself for what you're getting into when you go on a studio set. Morgan.
Jamie, that was me. We talked about that in class.
Was it you, Morgan? You wanted to know about porn?
Yeah, because it's like porn directors make a lot more money
They make so much money and distribute a lot of money. I mean, just being an assistant, I was making $50 an hour to do nonsensical work. He was paying me $50 an hour and letting me drive his BMW around. And I was like, this is the best job ever.
I think in porn, it's a lot easier to negotiate a percentage of the gross.
Oh, maybe. Depending on your position.
There's very little,
depending on your position in porn, right?
Yeah. A lot fewer fingers in the pie.
Wow, this is Morgan. I hope your mom's not home.
Not.
Let's get back to Mike's, where you did not work in porn, but you did work at this rental house, and I know you've got some. Oh. I know your boss.
The fact that he finally got on a set, on a gig, and the rental house was basically sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Shitty about it.
Yeah.
A dick about it. They were dicks.
They were real dicks about it. So most rental houses know that people get jobs there so they can learn and they can go off.
Yeah.
This particular one didn't want that. They wanted people to be there the rest of their lives. And my boss in particular, what's that?
And teach classes to new employees? It's
no, just
bizarre.
just to schlepping stuff around. But my boss wanted to be promoted, and in order for him to be promoted, he needs somebody to take his job. So he wanted me to do that, and I didn't want to do that, and I was pretty upfront with him about it. So we butted heads, and he was looking for any reason to get rid of me, and so yeah, I got this offer to work as a gaffer, which for people don't know, the lighting person on a short film that was going to shoot over the week and nights. So I think it was like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., something like that, in downtown Atlanta. And this rental house was similar location. And my boss wouldn't give me time off, even though I wasn't salary. And I ended up finding two other guys at the rental house to help me out. And my boss
On
said,
the
if you're
film.
one on the short film, and
Yeah.
they also worked at the rental house too. You know, we're young and stupid, and like, yeah, we don't need sleep. So
I was
I
still
found
saying
these
that
really-
at 35. I was saying
Yeah.
that before I had my kid. I was like, I worked in my office job during the day, take naps at lunch, and then go shoot overnight. I am not a good person anymore. Like my body is like, I hate you. My brain is like, I don't remember that. Yeah, keep going.
yeah,
In
yeah, the
98,
things
you
that
had
you
plenty
do.
of no-dos and Mountain Dew to get you
Yeah.
through.
Exactly. So yeah, so anyways, we, you know, my boss said if I was 1 minute late, he'd fire me. So
Oh my God, what a dick.
I wasn't late, but the other two guys ended up dropping out on Wednesday, or 2 or 3 days into it.
Dropping out of
And
the
binge-
film.
Oh, both. Like
Oh, they
didn't come
quit
into
their
work.
jobs.
They
They
didn't come.
dropped it.
Well, they didn't.
Oh,
They weren't
yeah.
threatened with being fired. So
Got it.
they
All right, so
they
they're
just like
in
no
the
called,
wings.
no showed for like a couple of days, and it's
So
like
now
a
you've got to
warehouse.
cover them 24 hours a day for
You got it.
for a week.
You got it.
Oh,
And then
shit.
Oh my
by
gosh.
Friday, I was so exhausted. I don't even remember half of it because you're just like. But by Friday, I was so tired. I just slept in the back of the grip truck because they were, I don't know, shooting something, and it was December in Atlanta where it was cold, and we were shooting in a part of town called Cabbage Town, which is really not great. And
Mhm.
homeless people kept coming into the grip truck and trying to steal stuff and waking me up, and I'd
Oh,
yell at them,
shit.
and it was a fun experience. So
Sounds like it.
right?
How was the
Oh
movie?
my God.
Oh, it was terrible.
So you all right? So you did this shoot. Were you using equipment from the rental house or somewhere else?
Yep,
Okay.
from the rental house.
So
Yeah.
your boss doesn't even care that you are using your body to protect his equipment from people. Okay, that doesn't matter. You're still
Nope. That didn't care. But that's all right. I ended up leaving that job not too long after anyways. But
And
Yeah.
to go where? Where did you go from there?
so again, it was really slow in Georgia at that time. So it was
Yeah.
hard for me to make regular work on set. So I got a job as a projectionist, which was flexible and super easy.
again not porn, or this was porn.
Not porn. I
Not
was
porn.
just
Okay,
it's a regular movie theater.
got it.
But yeah, that was something else too. You get a little crazy in this dark, they called it a booth, for super long, and nobody would talk to you, and then the sounds of the projectors, you get a little trollish doing that for too long. So
Okay, so this is like around 2000. This is before digital projection.
yes. Oh yeah.
So you're
this
still
this
going-
was 2000. It was, I think I got that job in 99 actually.
So
Yeah.
you're still going reel to reel.
Well, what they did, they didn't do individual reels that you had to switch at this point. So
Okay.
the reels would come, and then you would assemble them on to they would call it a platter, and the whole movie would be laying on its side, and you would thread it from the inside, and then it would put it onto another platter. So it was still film, but you only had to thread it and start it once. So it was a little simpler than like what you see in movies, how they go reel to reel.
Yeah.
They haven't done that since I think the 80s, but that's
Okay.
how it used to be. But that
Yeah.
you would have to sit next to the projector. So back then, when you had to do it that way, movie theaters could only be like 2 or 3 screens, right? Because
Mhm.
so when they came up with this new system, like the theater I worked at was 24 screens, and I
Oh,
could run the
wow.
whole thing myself.
Wow.
Yeah. But so anyways, but that was, yeah, it was an interesting job. I wanted to learn how the other half of the movies, when it comes to the big screen, and I even made some prints of some stuff I shot just to see what it looked like. And the fun part is, as a projectionist, all the movies would come in on Thursday, and Thursday night you had to sit and watch all of them to make sure that they were all assembled correctly. So I got to see every movie before anybody else by myself. So like even the manager wasn't even allowed. So I'd crank the sound up super high and have the whole theater to myself. And for the longest time, I couldn't see a movie like that wasn't completely empty. I was like, what are all these people doing here? I was too spoiled.
They're invading your experience.
Yeah,
That's
right.
so funny.
So that was kind of fun.
But-
Some free popcorn you could eat.
Oh yeah.
Oh. I'm here for that.
It's a real Brewster's Millions
Yeah.
hole you can fall into.
At what point did you decide that if you really wanted to make a go at it, a living at being a DP, being on set, you would have to go to LA? At what point did you pull that trigger, and what was the thing that did that for you?
Sure. So I pretty much always wanted to move to LA, but my family didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. And I was trying to make a go at it in Georgia. And I left the projectionist job and then just got a job at Starbucks. And at that point I was like laser focused on
Me
saving up.
too.
You get a job at Starbucks too. I mean, anything you can do is again, the side hustle. And,
Mhm.
Georgia back then, I mean, it was very slow. There was not much work. The work that there was, was like you make $100 a day. I mean, it was, and especially trying to be a cinematographer, like I shot so many things for free.
Yeah.
Music videos. I shot a lot of rap videos. I shot a lot of metal videos for zero money or for $100, and you'd work 30 hours straight. And
Yeah. I did that when I got out here for non-union. Most music videos are non-union. I don't know if that's changed, but when I was out here, I was like, my agent got me so many like featured background and rap video gigs and I was like, this is terrible. Like, I mean, you had to bring three wardrobe changes, always a bikini, always a mini party dress, and then, casual wear. And they kept you there the entire day. And then, they paid you cash, like $120 or something at the end of it. And it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Anyways, my goal working at Starbucks was make a little bit more money and just work there and save up and move to California.
Yeah.
And I quit Starbucks, and then I went to a friend's birthday party and I met my future wife, and we had hung out every day. And at that point, I didn't have a job. I just had savings, and I blew all my savings on taking her out. So then I was broke again.
That's so cute.
So that put things on hold, but I asked her to move to California with me before I asked her to marry her. And then we moved in together and we both just worked our butts off saving. I worked as a grip. I was a union grip for a while and worked on a bunch of movies and stuff. And she worked at a bar downtown, and we saved up as much cash as we could and loaded up a U-Haul and didn't look back.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you did get union status as a grip in Atlanta.
Yes, in Atlanta. And then I ended up joining the union in LA. Been in the union now, I think 8 years. It's a different union different local for camera as grip.
Yeah.
But so
that's amazing.
Yeah. And then when we moved out to California, that's when I said, I'm just going to make a go at just being a cinematographer. So
Okay.
I had a little bit of connections. My reel was decent. And thankfully was able to make it work. There was definitely some slow times and some slow years, but I've just been a DP since I've been out here.
Which is great, because you're still part of the generation that we're a part of, where when you got out here, if you weren't doing the job in the industry that you intended to do, you became the title of the job you were side hustling with became who you were. Like if you did makeup on a gig, like I did makeup on some films because, I had learned to do makeup in theater school and when I worked in the news, because I was on the street reporting and they did not have a makeup artist, so they would teach you how to do makeup for when you were on the street. And so I knew how to do it. I had access to makeup. So anyways, my point is, once I got on one set and the writer was there and the director asked me a question, and I was like, well, no, I'm a writer and an actor. And he was like, then why are you doing makeup? Like, as though, yeah, I mean, it's the makeup artist who wants to be
Yeah.
a writer. No, I'm the writer who's side hustling as a makeup artist right now because that's what I'm getting paid to do on this set. You're part of that generation. If you didn't come out here and just do DP, all of a sudden you're the gaffer that wants to be a DP.
Exactly. And
Right.
it's so nonsensical, but that's true. I
So
mean, it was like that
nonsensical.
in Georgia too. I mean, it's like if I showed up and I was a second AC or whatever. Oh no, you're a second AC. You're not a DP. Okay.
Yeah.
Or even I was a DP and I shot something super low budget. Oh, you're the guy who'll do it for free. And
Right.
it was, so that was definitely part of it too, is like, okay, when I go out to California, I'm just a DP. I might do stuff for cheap or for free, but I'm still just a DP. And
Exactly.
it is, I mean, yeah. And once those people have it in their mind, doesn't matter. 10, 20 years go by, they still look at you that way.
Yeah, 100%. The only time they don't is if you take jobs as like a writer's assistant or a PA. The two jobs that pay nothing, that you can't afford your rent with, they'll accept that you are learning to become the DP or you are learning to become the director. But if you take a job that will actually pay you enough, then you're that person. And that's it. Nobody else.
There's also jobs outside the industry
Yeah.
where we always assume that is not their job. Like anyone who's working in food service, anyone who's working as a messenger, Uber drivers, postman. I mean, all these side hustles we talk to people about all the time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but what are you trying to do? What's your real gig?
And that was the thing, at least for me, is like I had all these other side hustles in Georgia, right? Like and it would always hold you back, right? You don't want to lose your job at Starbucks or your job at the movie theater or your job at Auto Trader because you get a last minute call to do something.
Right.
So, that was the other thing too, was like, okay, I'm going to try to really make a go at this. And a couple of things just lined up that I got lucky. So again, like music videos, there was a producer I shot music videos for in Atlanta. I don't know, I get like $300-$400 a day from him. And literally I was in LA for 3 days. He called me up and said, hey, are you available? I said, I am, but now I'm in LA. He said, oh, you are? Oh, I can get you $1,500 then. I was like, what? Why have you not been paying me that? He's like, well, now you're in LA DP. Like, what the hell does that mean? So immediately
Morgan, I
my
hope you're
rate
paying
went up.
attention to this.
And then he was able to pay for my flight and pay. I was like, what is happening? So a couple of things like that. And this again was years ago, and we were really poor. So a couple of things like that started working out that, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
I feel like there's some good career
actually,
hacks here. Like,
yeah,
what's that?
That actually happened to me too. It is a career hack because I was working for the auto shows. So I had all these Detroit contacts. I'm from Detroit, but I had all these Detroit contacts, like actor friends who were writing their own stuff and producing it. Some of them had moved to Chicago, but very few had moved to LA. Like they were regional actors, like they were Midwesterners. And I had a guy email me and say, could I audition, play this role, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, sure. Where are you shooting it? And he was shooting it in Chicago. And I said, well, I live in Los Angeles now, so I'm so sorry. And he goes, oh, that's amazing. I will fly you to Chicago. I will rent you a place to stay. Like all of a sudden I was treated like royalty because I had broken out. Like I had done it. I had made that transition.
I feel like for actors, there was a minute where that was a thing, and now then they discovered the local hire.
Right.
The idea
like that anymore.
Yeah, we're only looking for local hires, but we only want local hires who live in Los Angeles.
Right.
So they'll put a breakdown out in Los Angeles for something that's shooting anywhere else in the world, and they say local hires only. And by submitting on that job, that means you're agreeing to pay for your own airfare, hotel, and to get yourself to and from the set every
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the middle of COVID, our agent or manager wrote me and said, your mother-in-law lives in New York, right? You have your in-laws live in New York. And I was like, yeah, Jason's family. And they said, well, we have a role for you that's a local hire. You have to put down that you're a local hire anywhere now. All of the agents and managers force you to put down your local hire. And you're like, but I'm not. I don't know anyone in Florida. I'd have to pay. And they only pay you day rate base, which is like $500 a day. So this one was 2 hours outside of the city of Manhattan. So I would have to like drive, rent a car, because nobody in the city has a car in my family. So I would have to rent a car, drive 2 hours outside the city to shoot all day, and then drive 2 hours back, find parking to get up in 4 hours, turn around and do it again for $500 a day. It
Wow.
was like,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, even on my end, I mean, things have changed. Like, that producer, like, he wouldn't be able to do stuff like that now,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
low budget music videos, or even, I mean, they weren't all low budget. They were all, they were major labels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that has definitely changed, unless you're like A-list talent, or, I mean,
Yeah.
I have a handful of bigger clients that can do that, but I mean, it's definitely, things have changed. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, for better or worse, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we see all
100%.
kinds of expansions and retractions in the business in terms of like as budgets grow, as cost. There was a while where the streamers were, throwing all the money in the world at projects, and suddenly like you could get away with a lot, and they would, and now there's a big retraction there as well. But speaking of streamers, and this was my ham-handed segue into talking to you about what's going on now. Not that
Yeah.
we're done talking about what you've done leading up to now, but I really want to I do want to talk to you about what's going on right now, because we are in the middle of this writer's strike, and we are on the precipice of an actor's strike, and we're production halted for a long time during COVID. Now production's halted again, and so we want to talk to you about how is that impacting you, and what are you doing with this time?
Basically, he's saying, have you thought about going back to Starbucks? Because once that door is
Sure.
open, it's, as I know, once it's open, it's always open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you open your own
Thankfully-
rental house.
No. Thankfully, I haven't had to do that financially. We're
Because
doing
he has
all
a
right,
sugar
but
mama.
there you go. I have a sugar mama.
It's a sugar mama who's a big time, high powered lawyer.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
I would.
she
What a
is a
badass.
smart lawyer.
We're
She's a
gonna let Jaime go there.
Yeah, I'm allowed to. She's my friend.
But please,
she is a
Keep
badass.
going.
yeah. So how is this impacting you? Like in terms of, well, one, are you working? Are you not working?
Yeah.
It is dramatically slowed down. I'm not working, and pretty much everyone I know is not working, and a lot of my crew hits me up all the time looking for work. A lot of people are on unemployment, which only lasts so long. And I am in the union. Most of my work is non-union, but even that is slowed down a lot, because it just kind of all trickles down. And it's not just the writer's strike. There's also inflation, and streamers are cutting back, and honestly, I do a lot of commercials. I was supposed to have a couple of bank commercials for regional banks. I don't know if you've heard, the banks aren't doing so hot, so they cut their budgets on those that were supposed to be good jobs. And I have some work coming up later in the year. So typically for me, like, again, I shoot shorter form stuff like commercials, concerts, stuff like that. Try not to do TV because I want to see my kids. That being said, I'll have a handful of bigger projects that take months, and then I fill it in with a lot of smaller projects that fill in those gaps. A lot of those smaller projects just went away, so I've got work in August and December. So planning for that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, my wife is an attorney. She's got a regular, normal, grown-up job, and we've structured our lives so that, I mean, there's nothing set in stone with being freelance. So for any reason, it all can come to an end. So, we do that with our bills. Like worst case scenario, her salary covers everything, and then my pay goes towards investing in equipment or investing in you know other things like so that's yeah. So now we're not investing. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. So
Okay.
question, do you work as your own rental person? Because I know that that is a thing that DPs do and some
Yeah.
others where they own equipment and they rent it out to productions.
Yes, so that's an interesting point too. So when I started, the guy who mentored me owned a whole lot of equipment, and he was a cinematographer.
Mhm.
And he said to me, "Don't buy equipment. You want people to hire you for you, not for what you own." And also, I was super poor, so I couldn't buy anything anyways. So
Yeah.
for a long time, I didn't own anything. I owned light meters and some filters, and then it definitely made things more difficult to get on projects, to find smaller projects. And then I ended up shooting a film for a friend, a feature where I pulled favors and borrowed a camera for free. And at this point, my career was starting to pick up and was starting to make a little bit more money. And I decided, you know what, I need to invest in a camera so I can do more projects like this.
Yeah.
And it worked out. So I did end up going down the terrible road of owning equipment. So I do own equipment now. So that definitely helps. Like, if I get a shoot, most of the time they rent my camera package. When things are slow, sometimes I rent my stuff out. So that helps as well, supplementing.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's side hustling within your career,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I love. That is career adjacent.
Is that
And I mean
something?
that's
Is
what
it?
most crew members do. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like, unless you're at the top level, like the only way to make a decent living is to supplement it with equipment. Like my first AC or first camera assistant has his own wireless focus and his own monitor and own that you can almost double your rate by bringing that stuff on. Production was going to pay for it anyways. Or my gaffer, the lighting guy, owns his own lights. That So it definitely supplements that stuff, and then it gives you the ability. you know I love shooting commercials, don't get me wrong, but I didn't get into this shoot commercials. My first love is movies, and telling stories, and I love doing shorts. So the fact that I own all this equipment and my crew owns all this equipment, if I get an opportunity, something I want to do, you can go and do it, and you don't have to worry about, oh, their budget is tight, they don't, they can't afford the equipment. So it gives it some flexibility there.
I have an economics question for you. Just because I haven't really bored our listeners enough today. I'm envisioning like the business of the equipment. You invest in something, let's say it's a $10,000 camera, and that $30,000 camera, $50,000 camera. You've got a $65,000 camera, and it's the latest and greatest, and it will be for about 2 years before the next latest and greatest comes out. So you've got to make up that $65,000 and profit off it for 2 years. When you get hit with a slowdown like the one we're in now, that not only stops you from, renting yourself out, from just working, it also impedes your, the return on your investment. Or are you finding ways to rent out your equipment even during the slowdown?
So and that's, everybody's a little different. So for me personally, I don't like to rent my equipment out when I'm not on a job, with the exception of like somebody I know really well, or I want to help somebody out. There are some people that they are always renting their equipment out. The problem with that is, nobody gets a rental car and takes care of it. Right?
Yeah.
So if you rent your equipment out and you're not on it, and you don't know and trust those people, all this stuff is delicate. All this stuff, can easily be damaged, and can be damaged in a way where you wouldn't see it right away.
Mhm.
So for me, I do maybe lose out on some money by not doing that.
Mhm.
And then I also, since it's stuff that I use on my projects, I can tailor and I get the stuff that I like that I know that I can use a lot.
Yeah.
So it does make things a little bit easier investment wise. And then there's some people though that, they just buy everything they can in the hopes to rent it out. And honestly, they lose their butt on it a lot of times. But yeah, like
What's
the
the-
slowdown, for example, I was gonna invest in a new camera that was 6 figures and I put that on hold.
Yeah.
It's doesn't seem like the right time to do it right now if work is this slow.
Did you say 6 figures for a camera?
Yeah,
Is that a red?
that's just a camera. No, it's an Airy.
He said
I own it.
$6 for a camera.
And that's just the camera. That's not
Yeah.
lenses, tripod, batteries, media. Yeah. The, if you knew how much I had invested in equipment as it is, and that's the thing with the equipment. It's always funny. People, not always, but smaller things, they just assume it's like, do you realize how much like this one little thing is? And it's just
Yeah.
stupid. It's just like,
Yeah.
like I'll always talk with other crew members, like we'll look at something like, why is this so expensive? Oh, because they can make it that expensive. There's no other. I mean, I've got a $20,000 tripod.
We've created the monster and the beast because we continue to invest in it.
Yeah.
And, it's like Actors Access, guilds, unions. I'm pro union, like, don't get me wrong, but like, guilds aren't finding us work. Just when we
No.
find our own work, they manage some of the terrible things that can happen. Although, are they? I've been on really bad sets. But
the cinematographer, there's Helena Hutchins,
I'm saying,
and
so it's like,
I've been on shoots like that where I've been in
Yeah.
situations like that, and that was a union shoot that was supposed
Yeah.
to be. I don't want to badmouth the union or go down that rabbit hole.
absolutely not. I'm just talking about like dues. Like, you're not even working and we're paying into.
Oh, you still got to pay.
You still got to pay, and you're not getting health insurance, and you still got to pay, and you're not getting any, you're not getting any 401k or retirement, but you're still paying, paying into a system. Going back to my point only being is that, like, in this industry, I sort of feel like we, the artists, have created a beast, a financial beast in a way. Like, we just keep, what else was there? Actors Access, but we are not going to do commercials. You have to join another one and pay all this money to put your pictures on it. And LA Casting and Casting Frontier, and you have to be on all of them, and each of them costs different money. But like, why can't all the casting directors just use the one site? Like, why are we? It's just a constant amount of money that goes out with very little coming back in general. And I'll never understand how that happened or how that capitalistic market works.
I do. I understand how.
I don't. You went to USC, I went to MSU.
Because for 99% of us,
Mhm.
99% of us are not the client. We're not the customers. We're the product.
Yeah.
We are where the money is made. So many businesses are built on, not on getting people, not on being valuable tools that get people to wherever they're trying to get to. They're built on just making money off of this huge body of people. And you don't have to make a lot from each one of them. If you did, you wouldn't get it. But if you could charge $20 here, if you could charge $20 from 100,000 people, that's way better than charging $1,000 from a much smaller group of people.
Right.
Anyway.
I understand that. But like, again, I'm just going to keep saying this. Why do we have 3
It is
sites?
maddening.
It's maddening. Why do we have 3 sites that we have to pay to be on as actors?
Because,
That makes no sense.
to your point, because we will and because we do.
Because I won't, and I
Yeah.
don't. I can't. I'm
Mike,
so irritated.
I want to get back to strike questions with you because
Sure.
so you're not investing, but what are you doing? How are you using this time?
A lot of personal projects. So, like I said, still photography. I shoot only film, so large format, and I do process all the film in my house. So, experimenting with different processes, just doing stuff around the house,
Do you have a
spending more
dark
time with
room?
the family.
Do you have
Uh, well, kind of. This is a collapsible dark room behind me that I make enlargements.
I
It
thought you were
breaks
just,
down.
I thought you were doing your Zoom from some kind of like canoe or thing. I don't know what I'm looking at.
No, this is a dark room.
That's
So
cool.
it's like a
fantastic.
tent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do enlargements in there, and so stuff like that's been fun. Uh, more indie shorts and things
Yeah.
like that. Just trying to stay creative, and I mean, again, knock on wood, financially we're all right.
Mhm.
But yeah, it definitely put a halt into, like I said, investing into more equipment, investing into other things, you know. So yeah, I mean, at least, I know people who, like you guys both are freelance, and that's tough. Or, single person that's freelance, and, again, you have unemployment, but that can only last so long. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel bad with the strike, but it needs to happen. I mean,
Sure.
I
Yeah,
feel like
100%.
the
Yeah.
poor writers, they're sticking their neck out for all of us, because if some of these things, aren't fixed in a couple of years, we're all going to be out of work, with
Absolutely.
the AI, with, just cutting residuals on stuff, with, just, I mean, as a DP, I don't get residuals, but it benefits me if the writers and actors and directors do. You know what I mean? If the studios just keep cutting, it's going to hurt everybody. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah. What's your goal gig? Like, what if everything goes back, what is the gig that you're just like, yep, I've done, put a fork in me. That's what I've worked towards.
I don't know. It changes every day. I'm the kind of person, I get a little bored pretty easily, so I like jumping to different things. I like doing different things. Like I said, I love movies, but after I do a movie, I'm like, oh, why did I do a movie? I should just stick with commercials, or I'll do a commercial. I'm like, this is getting boring. I need to do some feature work. Or, I've done plenty of docs. I've traveled the world, and I don't know. I enjoy telling a story with a camera, and
Yeah.
for me, it's working with cool people, and that's first and foremost. Like, so yeah, maybe I want to get into TV a little later, but those
The
are
kids are
pretty
older.
grueling. Yeah, I just, I don't want to. My son's 10, my daughter's 4. It's a pretty pivotal time.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss that. So, but other than that, yeah, I just I like to
What
work, and I like the variety.
What do the kids think? Do they like, do they know what you do? Do they have any sense of it? Are they interested?
Oh yeah, they think it's so lame. So my son, he came to set when he was 2 days old, and he's been to set multiple times, and he really could care less. Man, that kid's got so many cameras. I bought him so many cameras he doesn't even use. And then my daughter, she's more interested in being a princess, and than anything else right now. But yeah,
That's
Yeah.
so funny. Our son came out directing us. He was
Oh
like,
yeah.
spread your
really.
legs wider, push
Mhm.
a little harder. Boom, he was out, and now he directs all the time. All of Jason's self tapes for auditions, he directs. He
It's not a
works
self tape,
camera.
it's a jack tape.
It's a Jack.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Jack records, he directs, he cuts, he calls it. He's like, that's not good. He does sound. He's been making movies since he was maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
I just introduced him
We
to
don't buy
green
him
screen.
cameras. We're like, here's an old iPad, first generation. It records video, and like he makes movies on it.
That's awesome. My son, he'll just take everything apart. He wants to be an engineer.
That's
So
awesome.
I give him
okay.
something like a camera, and he takes it apart. I'm like, oh great, that's broken now. But
I
hey,
love
whatever.
Mhm.
I love that.
So
That's
Well, then-
amazing.
Maybe he'll put something back together.
That's right.
maybe one day.
Yeah. All right. You have a $4,000 DP job or the same number of hours, and you can make $6,000 doing something complete like one of your old side hustles. Would you like, and it's going to be a terrible DP. Would you rather do a terrible DP job for less money or something completely different for more money than you need? You're going to work the same.
Probably the DP job.
You would do the DP job for the bad DP.
I mean, it's still, it's not, I didn't have the choice back then.
Sure, okay.
But you know, it all worked out the way it was supposed to, but it's not like I could like quickly, like, I don't know, go do something else. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, I've wanted to do this for so long and I've worked so hard for it. And it just, you know, even the worst day on set is still fun. You know, it still gives me joy. You still get to be creative, you know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. You know, if it's in you, that creativity that you need to do that, you know, I mean, you can't do anything else.
I will take a low-paying garbage acting job over a high-paying IT job any day of the week.
I was just gonna say,
Exactly.
well, you finally get to the point, I think, where even if you needed the money, for a side hustle, like it's just a no. It's a hard no. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait this out. Like, you know, like I'm gonna do the thing I like for less money and not worry about this other thing that's been offered to me. And a lot of people have this attitude of like, how could you not take this job when you're desperate for money or you need an income? And it's like, you know, because I'd rather not be unhappy. So I'm just going to wait for a job that pays me enough to get by, that I love doing, you know, because that is what it's about. Like, I don't want to be miserable. You
It's
know,
very
I didn't
true.
sign up for misery. So I don't know. I think that defines us against other career people, is that, you know, we will live in smaller homes and, you know, drive older cars or keep our cars for a long time, versus it has to be the bigger house. It has to be the better lawn. It has to be the Tesla. It has to be this, you know, those things aren't bringing us the gratification that our art does, our craft does, right? Like, it's just, we're just not happy unless we're doing the thing we love to do. And so I don't know. It feels like
No,
really like a
it's
precious
true.
gift.
Material stuff doesn't really bring you joy. Like, you know, like doing the thing that you're meant to do, like, and, you know, family.
Enjoying it.
We've talked about a lot of your jobs. We never really circled back to Auto Trader and got into it. Was that was also
Auto
Atlanta,
Trader,
right?
That was
I love this
also
job.
Georgia. That was before Amanda and I got married, but we were dating. It wasn't that interesting of a job. It was just dumb. Like, you just drive around and take pictures of crummy cars with Polaroids, and
Listen,
I don't know. It's just,
the world watched
you asked me
Making a
what terrible jobs
Murderer.
I had.
Well,
Yeah.
the world watched Making a Murderer. That job was pivotal to that murder. And
Yes.
now I don't even know if Auto
So you're
Trader
saying
still
I
does it
lost a
this
good
way.
opportunity there.
Oh my gosh. I would love to have seen you be interviewed by the documentarians on your experience. I mean, the fact that you went into that old man's house, like the fact that you would go into people's houses.
Well, I mean, I didn't think about that, but it's true. I mean, you know, I showed up. I don't even think I had a shirt. I just said I was from Auto Trader. Like,
Oh my
all
God.
these people let me in their house, you know, and like, yeah, both sides of it. They could have hacked me up into pieces, or I could have hacked them up, you know. I didn't even call Auto Trader.
Also, I mean, Auto Trader, I understand that this girl got murdered, maybe on that job, but allegedly. But it's autos. I don't see what the reason to go inside a person's home. You know the car's not in there.
He went into that person's house and out a back door.
The car's not in there, bro. Walk around.
But you know what? Like, thinking back, I think I went into just about everybody's house. Like, that's the thing. You knock on their door and they open up. I'm from Auto Trader. Take a pic. Oh, okay, come in. Let me go get my keys or whatever. You know, I'm trying. I mean, yeah. Every once in a while, the person wouldn't be there, and you just take the picture, and the car's like was in the driveway. But pretty much, if they answered the door, they'd invite you in, say, "Hey, would you like a glass of water or something?" I guess there you go.
Yeah,
that's how you
were in it for the H2O. I got you.
Yeah.
We don't live in that world anymore. Probably shouldn't have
No.
lived in that world then, but I'm just
Exactly.
saying.
Well, how did
Do
we
people
know?
take, I wonder if people take their own pictures now and like submit
Oh,
it
I'm sure.
on,
Because again, this
you
was
know?
this was before. I mean, there were digital cameras, but they were really expensive. I mean, like I said, they gave us Polaroids.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
mean, I had a cell
totally.
phone, but I don't even know if it had a camera on it.
Yeah,
Like
Not then.
now,
My first phone that had a camera was my third phone. So that we're talking about mid like 2005 around that when a phone
Yeah.
camera got on the phone.
and
And
then
that
that's
was
when
a
even
Morgan
like
garbage
was born.
camera.
yeah, a garbage camera exactly, and even projectionists. Like there aren't really projectionists anymore. They're all digital, right? So
Oh,
like back
right.
then, I
I was
mean,
thinking about that.
there had to be
Yeah.
somebody loading the film up. So
Mhm.
Back then, 15 years
Back
ago,
then.
back
back
then,
in my
I mean,
day,
it's crazy.
walk
that
uphill both ways.
Our
Mhm.
technology is so fast now that it's crazy to me. Like it's crazy to me. Yeah. Well, this episode took a lot of turns that interest me deeply.
Got real weird, huh?
Yeah.
Got real weird.
I think the
Your
Your
Super
first and
curious.
only time that you're gonna have a DP on your show.
No, that's not true at all. We're so honored to have you on the show, actually. I mean, cinematographers, DPs, the title, I mean, you are what actors and writers rely on to make their stories and make them beautiful. Like you know, it's such between the DP and the editors, it's like I don't know. I just feel like that's you know the foundation of a great show. This was so great. It's so nice to meet you, and we're so excited for this episode. And thank you for rearranging your schedule because I got sick and was on Mucinex and it
No
sucked.
worries. Yeah. Thank you. I'm honored to be invited. Thank you.
She showed on Monday, made love on Tuesday. On Wednesday she was down. We fought on Thursday, made up on Friday. But now I'm losing ground. You call me lazy, you think I'm crazy. So why'd you come around? She want my money, but I got no money. This ain't no savings and loan.